Hello everyone and welcome back to Football Manager 2018 and the second part of this experiment where we're taking a look what would happen if you created a 3,500 player database of legends in the game. You can see on the screen there huge names already at the top of the shortlist. You've got Gerd Muller in there, Bobby Charlton, Miazza, Puskas and Dixie Dean just at the top there as well. A sensational list of players as we went through last time. Now today what we're going to do is go forward 2 more years into the future, see who's won the various leagues, Champions League, World Cup, Golden Ball, what the major transfers were between the game, and also there was an absolute deluge of requests for different clubs to have a look at in this part of the experiment as well. So if you were one of the people, one of the 100 or so people that left a comment on the last video, I will be taking a look at the clubs that you asked me to. Apologies if I do miss any. That will happen at the end of the video, so not everybody has to sit through that. But if you do have things you want me to have a look at, make sure you leave a comment. I do read all of the comments and sometimes I will reply as well when I get time. But definitely drop a comment if there's something you want to see or something I miss, because I do miss an awful lot of stuff doing this. So also drop a like on the video. Make sure to subscribe if you're enjoying this series and would like to see another part. Dropping a like is the best way to let me know, and also by subscribing you will see the next part when it comes out in a couple of days time. But before we do anything else, because this is going to be a reasonably long video, let's go forward 2 years in time and see who's done what. And when we left off last time in the Premier League, Manchester United were the champions by a good 9 points ahead of Arsenal, Everton further back and Liverpool just behind them as well. Everton and Liverpool of course were the dominant teams in the 80s, and Everton had a much better squad than I think a lot of people remember or give them credit for. So that's why they've done so well, finishing in 3rd place. If we go forward another season, you can see United again retain their title, but only by 2 points over Liverpool. Stoke and newly promoted Leeds finishing in 4th place. If we have a look at that Leeds squad, we'll be able to see why they've done so well. But you can see Gordon Strachan leading the line for them there. They've got a pretty decent team. I suppose it's easier if we sort them by value. You can see Gordon Strachan's up there, Gary McAllister in there as well. Absolute legend of a player there. They should really have Rio Ferdinand in their team. I'm not sure if perhaps he's in the under-23s, but they've got Mark Viduka, David Batty in there, Ian Hart as well. A lot of flashbacks there to the past. But maybe Rio Ferdinand currently at United instead. But Leeds doing very well there to finish in 4th place. I'm just having a look. There were some other English teams people wanted to see. Manchester City was one of them. People wanted to see the Man City legends. And if we do have a look at their senior squad, you can see Romario at the top there. I'm assuming they've signed him recently. If we just have a look, £56 million signing from PSV. But a few good names in here. I'm not too familiar with the Manchester City legends. I know Richard Dunn though. He is a legend for the amount of own goals that he scored. So there you go. But that was for those Man City fans that wanted to know. Obviously they've got Colin Ball as well. Other teams, Preston, Birmingham and Watford, if we can see them in the top tier, although we can't actually see them up there. So let's go forward 1 more year where you can see that Manchester United have finished with 100 points at the top of the league. It's worth having a look at their squad. Currently managed by Giovanni Trapattoni. No idea what happened to Sir Alex Ferguson, who was in charge. I'm assuming he's taken an international job because he will not have been sacked winning the league. So Joseph Beacon at the top there, Bobby Charlton, Dennis Lord, George Best still there, Ryan Giggs, Paul Scholes, David Beckham, Rio Ferdinand, Roy Keane, Jaap Stam, Peter Schmeichel in goal. This really is just such an impressive roll call of legends. Brian Robson, Andy Cole right at the bottom as well, probably not playing. Cantona's at the bottom, probably not playing that much. Which is a shock, and I did see Rio Ferdinand in there as well. Arsenal 2nd place, Liverpool 3rd. Obviously Liverpool had a great roster of players currently managed by Pep Guardiola, but Kevin Keegan, Francesco Totti, who moved there, Ian Rush, Sammy Hippier as well, Michael Owen, Emily Hughes, Kevin De Bruyne is there as an 18-year-old. He has moved from, I think it was Genk he was at, it is Genk, £14.5 million absolute steal for them. Alan Hansen, John Barnes as well. Jamie Carragher also in there. I mean, this is such a fun database to be managing, and let me know if you are managing a team and who you're managing. Now, somebody also wanted to have a look at Wolves here because they do have a lot of historic legends. You can see they've got Billy Wright there, right at the top, an absolute world famous player. Further down, you've got the likes of Wilfried Zaha, now there, 27 years old, not a regen. The most famous Wolves player in my memory, having grown up not too far from Wolverhampton, is of course Steve Bull, absolute legend there, 22 years old in the game. They've also got Robbie Keane and Scott Parker at the club as well. But if we go back and have a look at Preston, you can see Nobby Stiles currently the vice captain, Alex James the captain. At the top of here, you got Nigel Clough in there. Any other major players? Andre Ayew there as a 19-year-old. Further down, Eric Dyer's there. But it's possible some of their big players will actually have left Preston at this point. If we just go back, you can see Tom Finney has indeed left. That's who we were looking for. Sir Tom Finney has gone to Real Madrid. He's worth £66 million and is a sensational player there. You can see essentially the original Ronaldo. Other big transfers, nobody major there. So Preston already lost their big player, which is why perhaps they have been relegated. The other teams people see were Birmingham and Watford, who are not in the Premier League. So if we drop down to the Championship and have a look at last season, you can see Coventry finishing at the top of the league there. West Brom, Ipswich, Fulham were another team that people wanted me to have a quick look at. Eddie Howe currently the manager there. Not too many great names in there. Of course, we are 3 years in now, so it is possible the players have left. They have got Harry Kane, though, currently at the club. Gone on loan to them from Spurs, is still at Spurs. Got Luca Toni in there. And then the rest of the Championship here dropping down. Not too many surprises. Watford down here. If we look at their senior squad, you can see they've still got Troy Deeney in there. Most of these players actually still the same team they had before. They do have Jadon Sancho in there now, who they must have signed. But not very many legends at Watford. They have not benefited from the big change. You can see a few other teams all going down as well. But just having a quick look through the rest of that league. If we drop down one more league, you can finally see this is where Birmingham is, which are one of the other teams that people wanted me to look at. And they don't have a lot of value in their club. Not got many legends. Possibly the database isn't that extensive that it's gone all the way down to teams in sort of League One or lower. So that is the makeup of the English team. And the English League. So you can see Manchester United there, 100 points clear, 3 Premier League titles now in the bag for them. They are cleaning up and making the most of their absolute talent that they've got from several generations of great Manchester United players. Now if we go back and have a look at Serie A, which is the top rated league, you can see Juventus at the top of this league, absolutely running away with it at the moment. Key players here, you can see Ronaldo at the top there. You've also got Bonique is the highest average rating. Ronaldo just in second place as well. But if we have a look at how this finished up in the last couple of seasons, you can see Juventus have won the most recent one. Napoli finishing in fourth but not qualifying for the Champions League for whatever reason. The year before it was Inter who won it, and obviously Juventus won the first one, but Inter managed to pip the last one by just 1 point. If we have a look at AC Milan, who we didn't look at last time, and see their senior squad, you can see a lot of very good players in here. They've got Van Basten, Maldini, Rijkaard, Baresi, Ruud Gullit, Seedorf, Filippo Inzaghi. Solskjaer is currently there. They must have signed him. A really impressive roster there from AC Milan. I was told to look at Torino, and you can see they finished in 6th place as well. Apparently they had a similar kind of Munich air disaster, but possibly by bus if I remember right. But they had a sensational team that were winning things a long time ago, around the 40s, 50s, before that accident happened, and that's possibly why they've got so many high value players in their team there. Currently managed by Gus Hiddink, and Udinese was one of the last teams that was requested to take a look at. You can see they do have Edinho in there, so not as many great players. Will Hughes is in there, 25-year-old player. Florenzi's in there as a 19-year-old. Lichtstein is in there as a 20-year-old from Switzerland. And Yaya Touré's there at the moment on loan. Alex Murray, one of the current young quality players. Managed by Luciano Spalletti at the moment. But Juventus still dominating Serie A. No major change there whatsoever. If we have a look at La Liga, you can see Atletico have won the most recent La Liga. Top goal scorer at this moment is Campanella from Sevilla. You've also got Kempes from Valencia in second place. But the best player at the moment is Kubala from Barcelona, with Ronaldinho in second place as well. Atletico have won the most recent league, but before that Barcelona took another title. They won the first two before Atletico came along and managed to take this one. You can see they've got Luis Aragonés in charge, as their captain at the moment. Escudero in there as well. Aragonés there. Diego Simeone is there as a 21-year-old player. And Fernando Torres, obviously the 20-year-old, and David De Gea back there as an 18-year-old as well. But they've managed to take their title ahead of Real Madrid and Barcelona, who have so many incredible legends in their team. You can see Di Stefano now, they've got Tom Finney there as well, Puskas, Yashavin, or Lev Yashavin, Zidane, who've they signed? Yashin from Lev Yashin, brought him in from Dynamo Moscow. We will have a look at the Russian team, because obviously they have so many legends from the USSR days as well. But Zinedine Zidane as a 21-year-old, Redondo's in there, Roberto Carlos, such an impressive squad. Now, if we also just go and have a look at the Bundesliga, you can see Bayern Munich have won the most recent one. When we left off at the start, Bayern had won it a good way ahead of Köln. HSV or Hamburg had finished in second place, with Schalke third, Dortmund fourth, and again Bayern winning that league by a decent way. If we do have a look at Schalke's team, one of the teams that was recommended to have a look at, you can see at the top here Klaus Fischer, their best player. They got Proust in there, Roosman. Not too many players familiar to me. Manuel Neuer, of course, as a youngster back in there. Jens Lehmann as well. Two incredible goalkeepers to have in your squad. People also wanted to have a look at the Köln squad. You can see Jurgen Klopp currently managing Köln, but Schaefer at the top there. Overth, Dietmar Müller as well. Any other big players that I recognise? Not too many there. But a decent squad. And then we've also got on my list Hamburg to take a look at. So if you look at their squad, you can see Yui Seeler in there at the moment. What an absolute legend he was. Top quality striker. Felix Magath, the former Fulham manager, in there. Leon Bailey's 22 in there at the moment, the youngster. Any other big names? Maximilian Mayer's one of the existing crop. But not too many there. But at the moment it's still Bayern Munich absolutely dominating the Bundesliga. And if we just go and have a look at Ligue 1 next, then we can see Marseille are the current winners. Somebody told me to have a look at Saint Etienne. They have finished second recently. So they're doing very, very well, managing to finish second. And they've got some decent players in their team. Not too many familiar to me, but a lot of high-value players, which is why they're managing to finish second, although they have been pipped by Marseille at the top. And if we look at this Marseille top team, you can see they've got Chris Waddle in their team at the moment. Didier Deschamps as well, current French manager. And Abedi Pele, not the actual Pele. Fabien Barthez is there as a youngster as well. So funny to see old Butterfingers Barthez back in the game. So the French league not currently loaded, but you can see which teams are dominating there. If we also have a look at the Serbian league, not too much going on there. Russian Premier League currently being won by Dynamo Moscow. If we have a look at their senior squad, you can see they've got a few loaded players here, some decent names in there. But not as well fleshed out as some of the other teams, as you might expect. Just checking on my list, one of the other leagues that people wanted to have a look at was the Eredivisie. So if we go to competition reputation and have a look at the Eredivisie, you can see Ajax obviously winning this league at the moment. Will have so many great players. Johan Cruyff leading the way, Edgar Davids, Mark Overmars, Jari Litmanen, Patrick Kluivert in there as well as a young striker. Edwin van der Sar's back in there. They've got Danny Blint in there, Daley Blint's father. Frank de Boer in there as well. Incredible players. And I'm sure they would have sold some, because that is what PSV do. Ajax do, not PSV. That's going to have annoyed someone. They haven't actually sold anyone. I'm very impressed by that. But Johan Cruyff, the man, the myth, the legend, at the top of that Ajax list. Absolutely unbelievable player. You can see he's getting the goals for Ajax as well, 7.95 rating in his first season. So Ajax doing very well there. PSV will also no doubt have a few legends. You can see Ruud van Nistelrooy in there as well. Philip Cocu in there, one of the more recent legends. Van Bommel as well. That Netherlands team is going to be absolutely sensational in the World Cup, and I'm very much looking forward to see who has won that World Cup. Now finally, of the leagues, let's go and have a look at the Portuguese league, because they will have a lot of very good players in the Primeira Liga. Benfica won the last 3 titles, currently managed by Jose Mourinho, but you can say Eusebio at the top of this list at the moment for them. Few other big names in there as well, but Eusebio absolutely the star man for them. That's what I love. Centre back, attacking midfield striker. You don't see too many players with that roster these days, but he is right there at the top. Porto as well are going to have some great players, currently managed by Artur Jorge. You can see Deco in there, Ricardo Carvalho in there. A few players from that Champions League run that got them all the way to the top, but they seem to have lost a few players. They have got Paul Pogba in there at the moment as a 19-year-old. I'm not sure why Paul Pogba is at Porto. Is that where he started his career? I'm pretty sure he was at United, but maybe they picked him up. They've got Radin Nainggolan in there as well as a 20-year-old. Was signed for just 235k from Piacenza in Italy. That is what they're good at. Antonio Valencia in there as well. Possible that they will have sold a few players, and if we just have a look at that transfer history, they actually haven't. So maybe some not given their fair proportion of legends. But then you've got Sporting Lisbon, and if we look at their senior squad, you can see Cristiano Ronaldo right down the bottom here. 20 years old, still a sensational player, but he's got a bit of time to develop before he becomes that world-class superstar that he's famous for being. Some other big names in there from Portuguese history, but the Portuguese league looking pretty good. I'm just going to have a quick look at the Scottish league as well, actually, because Celtic will have unbelievable players in here. They are managed by Jock Stein at the moment. Henrik Larsson back in the team up front for Celtic as well. A few big names from Scottish football in here in this Scottish team. I'm not as familiar with Scottish and Rangers history as perhaps I maybe should be, because it is sensational, the history between these two clubs. No rivalries really endure as long as these have. And for Rangers, you can see Brian Laudrup at the team, Ali McCoy's back in the team as well. So just for you Celtic and Rangers fans, but Celtic still pipping it, although it's always worth having a look at Aberdeen as well, actually, because they did have that sensational European run under the likes of Ferguson, but not too many legends in their team. They've got Alex McLeish there, that's something at least. But Celtic still dominating in that league. So do let me know if there are other things that you want to see from the leagues, but we need to have a look at this Champions League now and see which teams are dominating in the Champions League. If we go back to the 18-19 season, and maybe we'll start at the quarterfinals here. You can see Partizan Belgrade managed to make the quarterfinals. They have got some unbelievable players in their team, a lot of very good players actually, making up their squad at Partizan, and they have managed to make the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Beat Arsenal as well. Liverpool managed to knock out Juventus, Benfica and Inter also going through. In the semis, it was Inter and Benfica who managed to go through. And in the final, Inter Milan won it 1-0. Now the following year, again, you got Celtic managed to make the Champions League quarterfinals, but were beaten by Atletico. Marseille taken out by Juventus. Inter and Real Madrid also going through. In the semis, it was Inter and Real Madrid, and Inter managed to win yet another Champions League. They've won all 3 of them now. An unbelievable record for them. If we drop down to the Europa League, Not sure why I've done that. And go back to the 18-19 season, because there will be some very big teams performing here as well. And you can see this team, Savana Saveda, seem to have been doing pretty well, winning their league. Dinamo also doing well from Croatia. If we look at their senior squad, there are going to be some big names in here as well. I thought, there's Luka Modric as well. I did think that's where he started. Kovacic also in there, currently at Real Madrid. But PSG, Lyon, Dinamo, and this team, which I'm not going to try and pronounce, all making it to the quarterfinals. In the semi-finals, Dinamo and Savona managed to make it into the final, which was won by Treverna. So I had to try and pronounce their name in the end, but they managed to make it all the way to the end. I'm not sure if that's their real name. Maybe somebody can let me know if they're more familiar with that football. Sampdoria in there this time, Stoke in there as well, Dinamo Kiev, Bayern, all making it to the semis. And in the semi-finals, it was Bayern and Stoke who made it through. And the final was won by Stoke 2-1 over Bayern Munich. And you can see why Stanley Matthews, Gordon Banks, helping them get all the way to the final. They don't seem to have too many of those players. Oh, Gordon Banks seems to... No, there he is. Gordon Banks is still there. I'm just being blind. Stanley Matthews at the top. Absolute hero. And managing to get Stoke some silverware in Europe. That is sensational. They'll be in the Champions League next season as well. But Stoke benefiting from their history there. Now, I think that's it for most of the leagues. Just having a quick look at my list. And I think that's covered pretty much all of them. Except for possibly... if we have a look at Brazil and some of the big Brazilian teams, you can see Sao Paulo at the top here. Senior squad, a lot of very, very good players in here, no doubt about that. Friedenreich at the top, Arthur Friedenreich, leading striker for Sao Paulo. We can also look at Cruzeiro, who've got a lot of very, very good players in their team. Palinha in there. A few other big names as well. Santos, the big team. You can see Pele there, their key player, as you would expect. They have got the best roster. Zito, Coutinho in there. Other big names, Pepe, Robinho, a few recent players. Neymar's back there as a 19-year-old. And they are going to absolutely clean up. Pele still at Santos. He spent his entire career there, remember. Will he do that again now? He is banging in the goals. That will get attention. Coutinho as well, brilliant player, lots of excellent finishing there. So those are some of the big Brazilian teams. Flamengo as well, I've got Zico as their key players. Zinho in there, Junior, Jorginho, Leonidas as well. That Brazil team is going to be scary, and that is why we need to take a look at the World Cup, because it has happened now, the 2018 World Cup. And if we go and have a look at the stages for the previous one, and maybe start out in the second round here. Can we get a tree structure up? A nice tree structure. There we go. Croatia managed to win 1-0 against Czech Republic. Germany winning as well. Portugal, Brazil, Colombia won 5-3. Colombia have probably got some extremely good players in their team there. And it's not actually as well fleshed out as you might imagine, that Colombian team, but they've done well beating Holland 5-3. Holland going out in the last 16 despite a team made up of Cruyff, Van Basten, Rijkaard, Hullet, Seedorf, Stam, Davids, Overmars, Van Nistelrooy, Kluivert. That is such an incredible team, and yet they've been knocked out by an understrength Colombia team. Brazil managing to win against Uruguay. England did win 3-1 against Paraguay. Italy winning 3-0. Serbia beat Spain 7-4. This Serbian team incredibly good, and a lot of very good players in there, including Stojkovic. I'm wondering if this is Red Star Belgrade. Maybe somebody can clarify that. It looks like it probably is, but maybe I'm misreading that situation. You've also got Spain were knocked out. Let's have a quick look at their senior squad. I'm sure there's some very, very good players in here. And indeed there are. Guardiola, of course, there next to Aragonés in the list, but not doing all that well. Germany managed to beat Croatia 1-0. Croatia were a good team. Germany, though, their team is going to have absolutely dominated, but it's still greyed out. I haven't got the Germany fix in here, which is a little bit frustrating. Brazil beat Portugal 2-1. Not a lot Portugal could do there. They are a very good side. And you can see Eusebio, their key player. Luis Figo in there as well. Rui Costa was further down that list. England managed to beat Colombia. We know England have got a great team. As you can see right here, so many world-class players in this side. They are always going to do well. And Italy managed to beat Serbia 2-1 in their quarterfinal. Big players in here: Del Piero, Totti's in there, Roberto Baggio in there, Maldini, Baresi, Cannavaro, all those great players. Buffon back as a teenager. Brazil beat Germany 5-2 and England beat Italy 1-0. But in the final, it was Brazil who managed to take the World Cup home, as they always do. Ronaldinho, Ronaldo, Cafu, Romario, Leonidas, Pele, Zico, Zizinho, Socrates. What a squad that is. That must be so fun to manage. I'm not sure. Is Deco Brazilian? I thought Deco was Portuguese. Is that a mistake on the game's part? He's at Porto. I mean, I'm pretty sure he was Portuguese. Maybe I'm getting that wrong. Maybe somebody can clarify that. I thought he was Portuguese. I'm pretty sure he was Portuguese. There might be a few errors in this game, or maybe it's just because they are youngsters at a certain country. They are able to declare for a different side if they want to. So there you go. Brazil have won the World Cup in 2018. The next hosts are Australia and not Qatar. So we can see what happens there. We've also got the Euros currently going on. It's not finished, so I won't take a look at that. But I will have a look at the golden ball, if I can get that to show up. Well, you can see here the World Players of the Year. At the top in 2018 was Erico of Independiente, which was very impressive, finishing ahead of Miazza and Kubala. But Kubala did manage to win it the next year with Mitic and then Pele shortly behind them. I mean, Kubala had a sensational 8.35 rating there, 8.18 the season before, but didn't quite get the recognition. Moreno, what a picture that is, of Manuel Moreno at River Plate, I guess, although he was at Independiente at the time. If we have a look at River Plate and the Argentinian teams, really, you can see Moreno, the biggest player there at the moment. A few other great names in there as well. Argentina are going to have an incredible squad, and I'm surprised they didn't do better in the World Cup. You can see Di Stefano at the top there, Zanetti, Maradona, Crespo also in there. Messi will be in there, presumably in their youth team, not quite broken into the first team just yet. But they didn't do as well as they maybe should have in the World Cup. So I think that's probably going to be it for today's episode, because I'm not sure we can fit all that much more in there. I'm pretty sure I went through just about everything on my list. For those of you that are trying to load this database, I don't remember if I said at the start of the video, it does take 2 hours to load roughly. It is quicker if you start the game unemployed, and then if you've got the in-game editor you can always put yourself in charge of a team, but it is quicker if you start unemployed. That's what I did. I managed to load it in about 25 minutes. So if you're trying to load the database, your game has not crashed. It just takes several hours depending on your computer. So do give it time. It is absolutely worth it. Make sure to let me know who you're managing in the comments. Give us status updates. Let us know how you're getting on. And also drop a like on the video if you do want to see another part of this. I might go 3 to 5 years further into the future in that next part. And let me know if there are things you want to see as well. But until next time, see ya.